to ensuring that
this is my salary for my online job that I have working for a USA-based company. And I'm not from the US, I'm from Portugal. Getting a job like this is not as hard.
Living conditions. By providing these housing solutions, we have transformed lives, strengthened families, revitalized communities, and most importantly, instilled a sense of hope for the future. The Victoria Palms Development Relocation Project marks an exciting new chapter in the new social housing program. As the first initiative under Modality 2, and I know you have been listening, we have 3 modalities. One of these is a single detached units where persons come with their own lands. We also have the tenement upgrade. And then we have this modality, which is being employed here, that you are seeing, the relocation of vulnerable communities. And so I was about to say, my brothers and sisters, because I feel as if I'm in church. You know, it is such a wonderful day, and I'm truly excited that I can say that these housing units that you see here, though we have 12 homeowners on paper, we know that the beneficiaries are over 43 individuals. And so you can appreciate the positive multiplier effect that will further extend to all the family members and indeed the friends around. And so the new social housing program, as I said, operates these 3 modalities that I've told you about. And so the Victoria Palms Development Relocation Project exemplifies the program's vision and adaptability in addressing diverse housing challenges. The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation is also grateful to its partners who have made this project possible. We have done it in partnership with the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development and the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. Lands were identified to accommodate this project, and we have worked very, very collaboratively as a team to make it possible. This collaboration highlights the strength of inter-ministry cooperation, which will offer a fresh start to families living in inadequate conditions. It will foster stability, hope, and create opportunities for future generations. And as I walked in, I looked at the very happy look on the faces of the beneficiaries. So I want to emphasize that, like all other social housing initiatives, this project was carried out with complete transparency. It was overseen by a dedicated project oversight committee and followed a national competitive bidding procurement process. Over 10 contractors indicated interest. And this was advertised via GoJEP, which is the Government of Jamaica's electronic website. So at the conclusion of a rigorous process, SM Quality Construction Limited emerged as the successful contractor with a contract sum of approximately 72 million. So you see, the government is serious about investing in uplifting lives. And so the beneficiaries will sign a social contract which establishes the terms of usage, maintenance, and inspection of the units. Importantly, the beneficiaries shall not lease, sublet, assign, or otherwise dispose of the housing units for a period of 20 years after signing this agreement without the written permission of the Minister of Housing, who is, many know, the Prime Minister. Beneficiaries today, December 13, 2024, signals not just the delivery of keys, but to brighter possibilities for you and your families. I must use this opportunity to remind all beneficiaries of their responsibility as homeowners. Take care of your units and maintain the look, the feel, and dignity of this community. To all Jamaicans present here today and those listening online, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation remains committed to fulfilling the government's mandate of improving the housing conditions of our most vulnerable population and its broader commitment to social equity and development. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Permanent Secretary Williams. Very, very crucial, ladies and gentlemen, that what the Permanent Secretary said, that we keep the dignity of the environment, but also no changes unless you get something in writing. So many times we have people who say, but this man said, and you make changes and go off on a tangent, and certainly nothing of the sort. Get it in writing. May I acknowledge the presence of the Mayor of Kingston, Councillor Andrew Swaby, and the team from the KSAC who came in. And Councillor Swaby, I see you on the program. Just give brief remarks, if you will.
Thank you. I'm going to be very brief. Mr. Prime Minister, Minister Desmond McKenzie, Councillor, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and especially the recipients of this wonderful project, let me say good morning to you. Let me first apologize for being late. I had a different event, and I know that I've been late, and I've sent a little indication, but it was important that I go to the first event. I want to give you my personal experience as it becomes housing, and in relation to housing. I didn't feel like a man until I had my own house in 2011, when I got my own house. And I can't tell you exactly the way that my mother used to tell me about making sure I get a house before I find a woman. You know those things? Make sure I got a house. An instrument, and what was, I just remember that when I had my house, my mother kept the clean out so I can come and help her to clean out. And I said, but Mama, we don't want that. You can't manage that. So I didn't take a call for her for a week because I know I was in the cleaning out phase. So the day when I started the clean out, that was the day when I got the message on that Saturday that my mother got a stroke and she's in the hospital. And I had to literally stop doing what I do and head to Black River. I say that to say that in communities like these, you actually live in the community on a land that is not necessarily owned by you. And sometimes you are in despair. Am I going to own a house? And when opportunities like this come along, you grab at these opportunities. And I want persons to understand that this is a lifetime investment that they are making. And I'm happy for the overview from the PS, because it speaks you can't rent it or do anything to sublet it out until after 20 years. And I just want to encourage recipients to take care of it. I know it's hard sometimes when you live with neighbors and you want to paint and others want to paint, but form yourself into like a body that looks out for the welfare of this project. So on behalf of the KSAMC, which I'm proud that the KSAMC is associated with a project like this, I just want to wish all the recipients and to say all the best. And the fact that we're in a season of caring and giving, I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody when it comes. Thank you very much.
Mayor, thank you so much. Really appreciate your brief remarks. And you made a very interesting and important point. Projects like these actually do transform lives. And it takes representation and commitment to get on the agenda some of the issues facing the people. A man who does that relentlessly. The Prime Minister will tell you how him come all the time and say, Prime Minister, we need to get this done. And the Prime Minister actually listens all the time to the man who, even you, Mayor, I heard you saying that he's your mayor for life, but really he is the man who is the Minister of Local Government and Community Development, the Honourable Desmond McKenzie.
Thank you, Naomi. Dr. the Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Samuels. I want to acknowledge and introduce to Denham Town Father Earth, who has now assumed responsibility not just for the Kingston Parish Church, but for the entire diocese involving St. Albans and All Saints. So welcome, this is your first public appearance, especially in Denham Town. CABSEC, permanent secretaries from both the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation and Ministry of Local Government. I've invited PM Mr. Blaine, Jarrett Blaine from the Jamaica Public Service Company, because one of the discussions that I've been having with the persons who are benefiting from today's function is that there are two obligations that must be fulfilled. One is that I'm expecting persons to apply to the National Water Commission to be connected legally to the National Water Commission so that they can pay their obligation by receiving water from the National Water Commission. The other agency, the Jamaica Public Service Company, and I must say that this approach is not new to Denham Town, because Denham Town was the first community that the Jamaica Public Service Company introduced what we call the prepaid meter program. And Prime Minister, all the residents have been told that they must sign up with the Jamaica Public Service Company to have legal electricity in these houses. And I say this, and I'm repeating what I told them. No light, no legal light, no legal water can occupy the house until that is taken care of. It's a commitment that we must live up to, and this project will have to demonstrate that in no uncertain manner. And the Jamaica Public Service Company Prime Minister will be using the community center to start to register persons as early as possible for this to be done. Councillor Samuels, in his welcome, mentioned the fact that Denham Town is one of the oldest residential community in Kingston and St. Andrew. We have been around for centuries, let me say that. And the housing development has had a rough path. The Most Honorable Edward Siaga did significant development to Denham Town. And after the elections of 1989, this location that we are on was slated to be another phase of the redevelopment of the housing stock in Denham Town. But because of the changes in 1989, the community have benefited badly in terms of the continuing the program of housing developments in Denham Town. Today is the handing over of the first phase of this development. These 12 units, where ground was broken many years ago with the Prime Minister, and I want to say, Prime Minister, you came, you made a commitment 2 years ago. Not many, 2 years ago. Commitment made, commitment being fulfilled this morning. Thank you, Prime Minister. The other phase, phase 2, will commence early in January once we have concluded all the procurement details. But the significance of where we are today, Prime Minister, might not be important to a lot of Jamaicans, but Denham Town holds a significant place of pride in Jamaica because one of Jamaica's most famous cricketer and West Indies batsman, the late Collie Smith, used to reside just right at the house at the entrance of this lot. That was where Collie Smith used to live. And he lived there even when he was playing for the West Indies. He resided there, and his mother is interred beside him in the Maypen Cemetery, and they have a deep love and affection for the community of Denham Town. The other issue, Prime Minister, which is, again, that I've raised with you, that is getting attention now, is the question of the sewage. The president of a National Water Commission have spoken to me, and a meeting will be arranged for next week to sit down with us in West Kingston to look at the areas. So finally, once and for all, the problem of sewage flowing on the streets, not just in Denham Town, but in downtown Kingston, will be attended to once and for all. I want to, on behalf of the people of Denham Town, while we are here today, it is not so much a great occasion because we are mourning the loss of Ayat, who passed just over a week ago. And I know that if he was alive, he would have been here extending the welcome. And I just want to say to the people of Denham Town, while we are mourning his loss, we must also be mindful of the work that he started, because he played a pivotal role in this development. So, Prime Minister, on behalf of the Denham Town residents, as their Member of Parliament, somebody asked me, is the Prime Minister going to look at Board Villa? I told them yes. And when the Prime Minister speaks, he will touch a little bit more of what is happening. But let me tell you that this government is the government for building houses, and this is a living testament today as to the commitment, the capabilities of the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, and the Prime Minister leads a government that continues to deliver. We are proud and we are happy this morning. Thank you.
Minister, thank you kindly. You are a champion and a mentor indeed. I recall Jermaine Hyatt saying how much you are a mentor to him. So as we mourn his loss, we acknowledge that. But a champion indeed, because I told you, ladies and gentlemen, that, he really does put your issues on the front burner. And you see, even as the Prime Minister is sitting, he's asking for more and more to be done to develop your community. Also giving us a nice cultural and historic perspective about the community and people in the community. Well, to get a sense of the culture and the talent here. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the students from the Edward Siaga Primary School who will come and do an item for us. Our future is in great hands and they're full of energy. Give them another round of applause, everybody. You know, this morning we had another function at the office of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister was out all the way in Western Jamaica, in Hannibal and in St. Anne, in more of the central side and northern side of Jamaica. And then this morning again, we have a full day. So you can imagine the energy that he has, right? But I'm here to tell you that transformation takes time and vision. And the Prime Minister certainly has outlined the vision for improving Jamaica, and he continues to do it. This is but one of the projects that he has surely shown us that it can transform Jamaica. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, may I present to you the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Thank you, Naomi. Father Hurst, thank you for your prayers. I know they will be answered. Minister Mackenzie, it's good to be in your constituency. I also call this my home. I have many friends here, and indeed, in my earlier days, I did some work here. And so I always feel welcome in West Kingston, and in particular, Denham Town. Allow me to acknowledge the Honorable Audrey Sewell, our Cabinet Secretary, and Mrs. Arlene Williams, our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and of course, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Local Government as well. We are blessed to have three very hard-working Permanent Secretaries here with us today. The Mayor is here, Councillor Donovan Williams of the Tivoli Gardens. Samuels. You can understand why I said Donovan Williams. Samuels, forgive me, Donovan. And of course, we must pay our respects to Jermaine Hyatt, our past councillor, good friend, promising young man, and someone who played a great part in this. I want to start off today by saying that this is a significant moment for the residents of Denham Town. But not just for the residents of Denham Town, but the entire Jamaica. We come together today to celebrate the fruits of partnership, a partnership between the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation and the KSA MC represented here by the Mayor. And it is also a celebration of perseverance because we broke ground about 2 years ago, just coming out of COVID. And 2 years since, we are now able to hand over the units. We cannot be in any way satisfied that it took us 2 years to do this. It is absolutely too long. What we are struggling with is bureaucracy. Bureaucracy has become entrenched. Now, there is nothing wrong with systems and processes and going through the steps. But when they become self-serving, when they become an obstacle to the fulfillment and the satisfaction of the desires, wishes, dreams, and aspirations of the people, then we have to take a serious look at the public bureaucracy. It is important to note that Jamaica is not the only country grappling with crippling, stifling, self-serving bureaucracy. Recently, I saw a presentation by the Prime Minister of the UK saying actually the same words that I have been saying, that He needs to get his bureaucracy in the United Kingdom working. Closer to home, in the United States, you would have seen the new president-elect establishing a new Department of Government Efficiency. Same issue. Bureaucracy becoming self-serving, delaying the fulfillment of the dreams and ambitions of the people. And so I've already said that we will take steps to deal with the bureaucracy that slows up the delivery of the benefits for the people. 2 years it took us to construct these 12 units. Now, at the end of the day, it is the government that is responsible. It is the government that passes laws, and it is the government that creates policy. In effect, it is the government that creates the bureaucracy. And therefore, it is the government that can change the bureaucracy. Whenever I'm at these handing over ceremonies and I have to speak with the beneficiaries, one of the things they tell me is that they have been waiting for a very long time. And I know as I look at some of the beneficiaries here, I see the nods and the smiles, because it is true, they have been waiting for so long. But the bureaucracy pays no attention to the suffering. That's the reality. But we're going to change that. The systems of government must take note of the suffering of the people and move quickly to address it. I want to give some context to this initiative. You will notice that for this week, I have been doing these handing over ceremonies. Yesterday, I handed over 3 social housing units. The day before, I handed over 36 social housing units. And the day before that, I did 3 right across Jamaica. And we have many more to go. We have a program in place to deal with this issue of social housing. This program in particular, and the one I did on Wednesday, are designed to address inner city communities. There are many inner city communities across Jamaica, but most of our inner city communities are concentrated in Kingston and St. Andrew. And so the program is designed to focus on these communities. And I want to give some context. It is worth recalling the history of our capital city. Minister Mackenzie pointed out, and I believe your councillor pointed out, that Denham Town is probably one of the oldest communities in Jamaica. Now, you can trace back the turning point of the capital city, Kingston, to the 1929 Great Depression. It was a turning point because you could effectively say that the condition of housing and habitation in Kingston started at that point. Now, this global crisis of the Great Depression radically and abruptly altered Jamaica's demographic distribution by disrupting the agriculture sector, compelling thousands of rural residents to seek new employment in Kingston, which was the commercial and political center of the island. The resulting overpopulation of Kingston led to the rise of informal settlements. It created public health crises and social unrest, culminating in the labor upheavals of the late 1930s. Subsequent waves of rural-urban migration exacerbated the growing disorder, forcing longtime residents and families of Kingston to move further north into St. Andrew and allowing informality to envelop what we now call downtown. I want you to pay attention to that critical history. A global crisis, at that time, the Great Depression. The Great Depression was a period of time when the stock market in the United States collapsed. It wiped out significant wealth globally and created a massive population of poor citizens globally. But it had a terrible impact on Jamaica, because Jamaica, an agricultural dependent country, simply could not sell its products. There was no market because markets globally collapsed. So where would the farmers get their economic sustenance? They abandoned their farms to come into Kingston looking for work. There was no work here. And so it sparked not just a food crisis and other forms of crisis, but it formed a labor crisis. And you would have seen that in the 1930s with the labor riots. But for us here today, dealing with housing, the real crisis it formed was the overpopulation of Kingston and the entrenchment of informal settlements. So it is at that period of time that informality became entrenched. So communities like Denham Town were once considered residential communities, quote unquote, meaning they were middle, upper class communities. Yes. But whenever your economy isn't doing well, whenever you're not able to give employment to your people, the communities break down. I make that point to say that in our strategy to rebuild Jamaica, and I'm going back, making the connection, in our strategy to rebuild Jamaica, because we haven't really started to rebuild Jamaica coming from that history. The first thing that you have to do is to rebuild your economy. That's number one. And if there is one legacy that I'm certain that my administration has achieved, is the rebuilding of the Jamaican economy. You see that with employment, you see that with investment, you see that with stability. The economy is doing well. The second thing you have to do is to make sure that the economy is resilient. Meaning that if a global shock occurs, the economy is not in crisis for 50 years. The economy can respond, recover, and grow. So in 1929, 1930, with the Great Depression, we weren't able to respond to that. Our economy couldn't respond. And it took us decades to be able to respond to that. In fact, the crises spawned by that, we are still feeling the effects of it. So when you consider what government is to do and what the politics is about, every day I hear the complaints about roads, about water, about housing, about security. I wish that the people of Jamaica would appreciate and understand that these challenges of lack of road, lack of water, lack of housing, all stem because we made political choices to put in governments that delivered poor economic results. And then we have the expectation that they will be able to fix the roads, fix the sewage, fix everything without having a good economy. In other words, somehow we believe that by a snap of a finger, the wave of a magic wand, roads, water, everything is going to be fixed. And there are some governments that have fed into this populist view, trick the people, and tell them, yes, we're going to do it. And you know how they do it, or try to do it? They borrow. And at some point in time, you have to pay it back. And that's how we end up in debt and in further crisis. This administration, under my leadership, does not believe in development by borrowing. We are doing social housing. Nobody here is paying for these houses, except, of course, it is the taxpayers of the country. But the beneficiaries receive these houses. Why? Because the government must intervene in a deliberate and strategic way to halt the deterioration of the community. The housing stock in communities like Denham Town, like Arnett Gardens, like Kingston Gardens, where a stairwell fell down, collapsed. All of these houses need intervention. And the question is, how are we going to do it? How are we going to fix all the houses, fix all the roads, fix all the water, fix all the sewage? How? How are you going to do it without fixing the economy? There's only one government that has ever fixed the economy of this country. Only one. So, all of my fellow Jamaicans who have hopes for roads and water and sewage and new houses, you better look to the government that can fix the economy, keep the economy going, keep the economy growing, keep you employed, keep income coming in, and keep your taxes low. That's it. That's the message. That's the reality. So, the proliferation of informal settlements in Kingston and other urban areas that followed suit, together with political developments, gave rise to another social problem: organized criminal groups, which thrive in such environments. The prevalence of organized crime is the cause of high levels of violence in Jamaica. It is not a coincidence that compared to the rest of Latin America and the Caribbean, Jamaica has one of the highest percentage of its urban population living in informal settlements. About 60% of the population of Jamaica live in informal settlements. I wonder if you see the point I'm making. Crisis hit us in the 1930s. Great Depression affected our agricultural economy, caused labor to move from rural areas into the urban area. 60% of our population live in informal settlements. They don't own the land, they don't have title to it, there is no structured utilities going there, no plan. We have to change that. We have to change that. And how do we change that? You know, the only other country that has this high level of informality is Haiti. Haiti has a higher level of informality than us. So as I said, the first step to dealing with informality is to fix the economy so that you have the resources to do what we're doing here. So you see this? This is going to be a formal settlement. The people who live here will have a title to their property. They will own it. Yes. They don't have to be wondering if somebody is going to come and claim it. If they spend money on it, they know it's theirs. And when you own it, you're going to take care of it. You're going to have pride in it. So I want you to just appreciate the magnitude of the problem that the government has to go around and regularize, redevelop, and provide formal housing for communities like Denham Town. Minister, you mentioned Board Villa. I toured it 2 or 3 years ago. That's next on the agenda. You had mentioned Rasta City in Tivoli Gardens. That is being done now. So we have the program to deal with this issue of informality. And I want to put everybody at ease because whenever we talk about the informality issues, immediately there is a suspicion that the people who live on the land are going to be dispossessed of the land. A distrust of the state. That is not the case. The objective of the government is to give you legal possession of the land, to empower you as a homeowner and a landowner, to make you a truly enabled economic agent by giving you ownership of an asset. That is what we mean when we say we're going to regularize you. So there is no secret as to why this high level of informality coincides with a high level of homicides. So Jamaica is also one of the countries in the region with the highest homicide rate. Notice I didn't bother to use the word murder. We have to move away from that. Psychologically, we want our people not to become numb to this idea of murder. So let's just walk back. Global crisis hit in 1929. Population moves into Kingston. There is no economy to support them. People who are here move out. Other people move in, don't have title, don't really own it. Can't make any investment in it. There's no real opportunity. Place is overcrowded. Then you put on top of that now political war, gangs, drugs, and guns. You end up with communities that are captured for criminal purposes. Then what you get out of that? High homicide rate. So look, if you don't have a good economy that cannot stand up to shocks, people are going to seek opportunities, they can't get it, they end up living in poor circumstances, they don't own the land, live in informality. That creates a space for crime and gangs, and that leads to high homicides, high murders. That's the reality of Jamaica. How do we change it? Again, comes right back to building the economy that is resilient. But an important factor is building an economy that cares. And an important part of the caring economy is the time it takes to deliver the benefits to the people. And the public bureaucracy is an obstacle. An obstacle. And oftentimes it is being weaponized for political purposes. Oftentimes it is being weaponized to slow up government, to mislead the people, to tell people things that are not true, an obstacle to development. The public bureaucracy, and it must be addressed. So, if we're going to build that caring and resilient economy, it means we're going to have to move very quickly to get things done. So, ladies and gentlemen, the government, therefore, has put itself on a path to pivot now to the delivery of the benefits of the economy quickly. Because for too long, 1929, this situation has existed. We have started first by doing some test cases. It's not simple to do a development like this. There were houses here before, people lived on it. We had to get the people to believe that if we took down their houses, they would get it back. And as I had explained before, when you do the social surveys, sometimes you hear the family was of 4. But when they realize that a house is coming, suddenly the family have 8. And then someone who had left here many years ago come back to say, you know, I had a house here. And so it took a little time to manage that dynamic. But we now have a very good model of getting communities to appreciate that when we come to them and say, listen, we're going to have to take down your house. We're going to have to clear the area that you live in. We will find somewhere to decant you. That is to move you so you can live there temporarily while we build out the new facilities for you. Once we have that cooperation, Minister Mackenzie, once we have that cooperation of the people, then you're going to find that every inner city community, whether they support my political administration or another one, they are going to want to be a part of this. Because what we have done in St. Paul's Lane and what we have done here today shows every inner city community that when we come to you and say, listen, the little house that you have here, so work with me. Let us take it down. We will find some temporary solution for you so we can create the space. We're not looking to move you out or move you off. We're trying to improve your structure. And once they are willing to make that sacrifice, and don't let politics get in the way and all the other nonsense that get in the way, then we can move rapidly to build the houses. And it's very important that they also hear the message that we're not going to make it take long and tie up in bureaucracy. This letter never signed, so that can't done. Which is usually sometimes the case. We never get this, so that can't done. This I never cross, so this can't done. We can't tell that to the people who are waiting for their benefits. We have to move quickly. We have to move quickly. So, you would therefore see beneficiaries that the government has a really good plan and a strategy to deal with this issue of informal settlement, urban deterioration, urban areas affected by crime. And that is, we are going to dedicate a substantial part of the budget, having now developed the administrative and technical part of it, to what we call the acceleration of the project. We are going to build this now at scale, that all the communities in Jamaica that are like Denham Town or St. Paul's Lane, we are going to come there and we are going to intervene in that situation. We are going to rebuild your community, rebuild your house. That is the commitment of this government. So the residents here will get 12 units. Notice that it is community living. We couldn't build 12 individual units on this little piece of land. So we had to go upstairs. And that is probably going to be the direction of the housing interventions that we will do. We will probably have to go 2 or 3 stories up, and you will have to therefore live as one. You have to live as one. I know how difficult it is. The mayor referred to it, that sometimes you want to paint and your neighbor don't want to paint. You have a lazy neighbor next door and just throw him garbage outside while you get up every morning and sweep up. That can't work. You have to live together as one. So even though we are building the houses, Minister Mackenzie, we can't leave the people to their own devices. We have to constantly be working with them. So there are provisions in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation under the new social housing program where we go back and look at the houses, look at the families to ensure that they are maintaining the house according to the social contract, but that they are fulfilling a very important part of the social contract, that they are being good and upstanding citizens in their community. Very important. So all of you who are beneficiaries of this house, you must continue to be good and upstanding citizens in the community. Can you imagine that taxpayer give you this house and you turn out to be a plague on the community? No, that's not right. The reason why you got the house is because your situation was so bad. But you were so hopeful, so positive, that you were an example of hope to others. So having got this house, it's not free. The taxpayers paid for it. And it's not free. You have to pay for it by being good citizens. The overall objective is not to just only transform these houses, but it is to transform the people who live in them. We know it's not an automatic process, but we know it goes a far way, Reverend. When the physical circumstances of man changes, it is likely to impact his mental and social outlook. But it is always a case that you have to make a direct appeal to the spirituality, to the mental stability, to the emotional resilience of the people. So yes, we're going to fix the physical properties, but we also have to focus on you, the person. So we're not leaving you alone. The social work department of the new social housing program, and of course, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, we will be coming around to make sure that the housing is maintained and the people are living together as a community. Eventually, Minister, these houses will have to be registered as stratas. And that takes some effort. It takes some work. So we're going to do some handholding to ensure that we get to the point where they can be registered as strata and common property, and the buildings themselves are maintained. It is Christmas time, and we didn't plan that these houses would be ready at Christmas. That was not the plan, but it just so happened, Minister, that it happened. So I'm so very happy to be able to turn these houses over to you at Christmas time. May they bring you joy. May they bring you joy and peace. And on the note of peace, the government of Jamaica, our policy is peace. Peace brings prosperity. Prosperity brings peace. But there's one more P in it. We want peace and we want productivity. We want people to produce more, to do more. And when people are more productive, then you get more prosperity. Yes, and more prosperity bring more peace. I was speaking to the DSP, and he told me that you have gone over 100 days without any... Yes, let me know you. But you've gone over 100 days. Clap yourself. Very good. And I know that there are some, lurking around who don't like to hear that. But we have to come to a point as a community now where we embrace peace. Right? We embrace peace. And we have to come together as a people and become more productive. Find something to do. As I close, Minister Mackenzie, and I look around, I see a lot of young people, and probably some are out of school, a lot of people around. And I was just last night at a hotel in Hanover. Big hotel, open, 1,000 rooms. They need over 2,000 employees. They can't find workers. That's how the economy is. So the economy is growing, people are making investment, they want people to work. And I look around and I see people here who could very well find meaningful employment. So the challenge, Minister, is how do we get the people who are here to go to where the jobs are? You see what happened the last time? Economic crisis, people come, no job, crisis. This time around, we're going to be building houses to accommodate the workers. So where the economic opportunity is, there will be formal, regularized housing. So that, in effect, Minister, is not just a community renewal strategy. It is also the new pivot for fighting crime and violence in the country. The next step in our strategy for dealing with crime and violence is to formalize and regularize communities and provide housing where the economic and social opportunities are, to increase the mobility of the citizens, both their economic and social mobility, so that Jamaica can indeed realize its true destiny, which is to be a peaceful, productive, and prosperous country. God bless you, and thank you.
Prime Minister, thank you so much. You have this excellent ability to cause us to focus and to bring us into your thought process in terms of the vision you have for Jamaica. And I hope it's not lost on the people here, but more so those who are watching online, just the journey you took us through in terms of transfer. There's a history to it, there's a vision to it, and if we follow those steps, we'll see Jamaica attaining developed world status in just a few years in our lifetime. So we have to be careful with that and follow and be focused, because there are several distractions around, we have to be focused. This morning, the Prime Minister was at a function, and he reminded the function that respect, the word respect, is an entire sentence by itself. And that's one of the elements that we need to get back to as well. Even as we open this element where it's community living, respect is so critical as we interact with our neighbors. Well, one of the beneficiaries here, very respectful man, Mr. Dylan Gale will move the vote of thanks on behalf of all the residents for it.
Top of the afternoon, Dr. the Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, our Member of Parliament, other distinguished guests, all protocol already been observed. It is with a great heart of gratitude and immense joy that I stand before you today to express our heart of thanks for the incredible blessing, a new home. First and foremost, I want to give thanks to God for making this dream a reality. To Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, and our Member of Parliament, the Honorable Desmond Mackenzie, I am deeply grateful for your vision and commitment to improving and empowering individuals and the wider community. Your unwavering dedication and giving us not a home, but not giving us a house, but a home, a place where our family can create memories and grow and thrive. To all stakeholders involved in this project, planners, builders, everyone who worked tirelessly to bring this to life, your hard work and dedication are deeply appreciated. This community had made tremendous steps in its development, all thanks to you. This is a testament that massive strive had been made to rekindle the relationship between the people and the government of Jamaica. We see you as a part of us. So as we share this moment, we not just only celebrate the mixture of cement, seal, and stand, but to constant forward thinking and innovative moments that you will continue to make our betterment of the people of Denhamtown and the wider Jamaica. I wish to express my commitment to taking care of this home, and I am proudly speaking on behalf of all neighbors who are all here today, who are all own owners, all because of you, Dr. the Honorable Prime Minister. We will ensure that this development, this scheme, become our home. We will take care of it by cooking and cooking. Thank you all for being here today and sharing in this moment. May the joy of the season bring you peace and great well wishes. Thank you.
So I tell you how I'm respectful. Ladies and gentlemen, I also told you that the Prime Minister gave a directive that we're really not into the whole heap of long ceremonies anymore. And we've been at it just for about maybe 70 minutes. That's a good track record. So ladies and gentlemen, it's your time, the benefit time. I can change mic. Are you hearing better from this one? All right, let's see. All right, so the beneficiaries will now sign the social contract, and some will receive their keys, and then right after, we want the Prime Minister and all the beneficiaries, families, children, everybody just gather right at those stairs so we take a nice photograph. So the table is coming for the social contract to be signed. All right, this mic is much better. And we're going to hand over some keys as well, so that as of this afternoon, you can move everything in and you come and start putting up your Christmas trees and all those things. All right, do we have the chairs? We'll ask Mr. Gale, the gentleman who did the vote of thanks, to come back to do the symbolic signing along with the Prime Minister. We'll also invite the permanent secretaries. Mrs. Martin, good afternoon to you. Yes. So we'll invite the Prime Minister, the Minister of Local Government, the permanent secretaries, and the counselor to come at this time to the head table. And Mr. Gale, where are you? Oh, you're present and ready. All right, please. So come to the head table. So we do the symbolic signing of the social contract. Remember all that Permanent Secretary Williams outlined, that you ensure that you seek permission, written permission, that you ensure as well that you maintain the dignity. We know you are proud of your community. Of course, we will be handing over some keys as well to the beneficiaries. But it is very important, this aspect, because you've been waiting for a long time. 2 years, not as long as some, but 2 years for many is a long time. So 2 years, we've seen the transformation of this ground. I remember when we broke ground, certainly today is a testament of transformation. So wonderful. So the Prime Minister is giving a few final instructions ahead of the signing. Wonderful. And Councillor Samuels is standing in the wings. We can have 2 more of the residents come to witness this signing. If you could, she can come right here. And so we see the signing taking place. The Prime Minister has signed, the Permanent Secretary, and the Permanent Secretary signs, the Prime Minister witnesses, and the beneficiary signs, the Minister witnesses. And we know these are houses, but once you move in, you make it a home. You put your spin on it, your touch in it, and it will feel like a home. So we congratulate you, new homeowners, as you gather. Mr. Gale, please, he's smiling from ear to ear already. And so he accepts his keys and, of course, the social contract. A round of applause, everybody. And so for those who are watching the stream online, we will do other beneficiaries. Wonderful. One thing about Victoria Palms is that it has a good amount of breeze blowing, man. Quite cool despite the heat of the sun this afternoon. So this time we'll have Permanent Secretary Marsha Martin doing the signing, Prime Minister witnessing, the beneficiary signing, and the Minister witnessing. And immediately after, then we'll do another one where we capture the presentation of the social contract and the keys being handed over. And to ensure that we have this contract fully in place, it's in duplicate. So we do a presentation, sir, with the beneficiary and a photo of her accepting her keys. Minister Mackenzie and Permanent Secretary Martin as well there. All right. So we'll do one final signing then, and then we'll head over. Okay, so we'll do, yes. So we'll do a quick signing and then head over to see the beautiful 2- and 3-bedroom houses that have been built right here at Victoria Palms. We want to thank the representatives from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation who've prepared these documents and just ensured that everything goes well this afternoon for our beneficiaries, and so that they can move into their new houses. And so another social contract signed and complete, and we then do a quick photo and handing over. Well done, well done. And we have our final signing. And it's important to point out that young people are very involved in this process. So young people are also beneficiaries, young men stepping up to the plate to ensure that, as the mayor pointed out, you become a man by owning a house. So the final one being signed, and then we head over to the units themselves. And the Prime Minister makes the stamp impression complete. Another presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, the entire community of Denham Town, give the recipient a round of applause as the Prime Minister heads over to the units to do a tour of the 2- and 3-bedroom units here at Victoria Palms. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Stay tuned to the live stream. We'll be able to carry for you just how wonderful these new units are looking. And of course, we have the beneficiaries, the families, the children as well, taking part and taking photographs as the Prime Minister tours their new homes. On behalf of everyone here, happy holidays, everyone, and we'll see you at another occasion. Good afternoon.
Guys, try not to skip and listen to me. Please do everything you can to help me buy a new tent. Please donate even